Okay, so how would you really work on division? Let's say you are given a value 23. Okay, that's a mistake. 23 divided by 7, which can also be written as 23 over 7. So how would you do this? Now, you can punch your calculator and you just get your answer. But there are other ways to do it without your calculator. Okay, so I just want to show you a very, it could be easy, it could be hard, but let's see. So we call it the long division method. So what we do is that we put the bigger number, especially the one we are dividing, which is this, inside the box, right? And the smaller number outside the box. So this becomes the divisor, 7 becomes the divisor, and 23 becomes the number we're dividing. Okay? So now, what we do is that we are going to think in our head. This is 23, this is 7. How many times can 7 go into 23? Now, based on your knowledge of multiplication or multiples of 7, you'll be able to know the answer. But if you do not know, yeah, maybe you have to just think about it. Okay? So, but if you look at it, 7 times 1, you can do it this way. 7 times 1. So if 7 go, 7 1 times into 23 is just 7 times 1, which is 7. So that is not enough to get you 23 because we're looking for a way that we can get close to 23. Since 7 cannot actually divide 23 like completely without any remainder because we cannot multiply anything to give us 23. So what are we going to multiply to give us something close to 23? So we start with 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is just 7, so it's not close to 23. 7 times 2 is what? 14. It's close to 23, but let's see what 7 times 3 will be. 7 times 3 is 21. That is very close to 23. So it's like 21, and if you just add 2 more, you get 23, right? But let's see, it's 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28, so that is more than 23. So that means we're going to stick with 7 times 3. So that means, actually, 7 can go into 23 3 times. So we'll put a 3 here. Okay? And that means we'll say 7 times 3 here is 21. We'll bring down the 21 here. And then we'll subtract it to get our remainder. Okay? So subtracting this 21 from 23 give us the remainder of the number of times 7 can go into 23. So this is 3 minus 1. This is 2. 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. So this becomes 3 remainder 2. So this is your answer when you have to divide 23 by 7. So you understand the process, understanding how many times a particular number can go into the bigger number. That is what you will put here. This is the number of times 7 can go into 23. And then when you multiply it, you bring the number here down so that you'll be able to subtract to get your remainder. So this subtraction here is for you to get your remainder. Okay? But let's try a bigger number and see what we can do. Now, the other things you can do when you have a number that you feel is too big and you cannot really work on it. So let's try 1000. Oh no, let's try 100, okay? 100 divided by 12. Now, this one, just pay attention to it very closely and you'll see there's something we're going to do here. So this is the same thing as 100 over 12, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our box here. The bigger number, which what we're dividing, is 100, and 12 is what we're going to use to divide 100. So we're going to start like this. Now, how many times can we multiply? What number of times can 12 go into 100? Now, you may have to start looking at your multiplication table, okay? 12 times 1 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24, 12 times 3 is 36, 12 times 4 is 48, 12 times 5 is 60, 12 times 6 is 72, 12 times 7 is 84, 12 times 8 is 96, 12 times 9 is 108, and 108 is bigger than 100, so that means we're going to go back to 12 times 8, which is 96. So actually, 12 can go into 100 8 times. Okay? So that will give you 96 here. And then you say, because 12 times 8 here is 96. So we're subtracting here, we're multiplying and subtracting here to give us our remainder. You understand what I mean, right? So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we've gotten the number of times 8, but we want to get our remainder. Okay, since we don't want to use decimal, because when we start doing decimal, we are going to do other things. So we're just going to say 12 times 8 is 96, which we have put here, and then we'll subtract it from 100 to get the remainder. So this will give us 4, and then 0, 0, 0, 0. So we have our answer is 8, remainder 4. So you notice what we did. All you just have to do is to be able to think of how many times this number going go into this number to be able to get the um, the value you're looking for. Okay. Now there's something else I want to still show you. Let's say I just want to think of a very good number that can give us that. Okay, let's try 100 divided by 8. I think this would be really nice. So this is the same thing as 100 over 8, right? So let's put our box. We have 100 here, we have 8 here. So you can actually think of this and start thinking of how many times you can get 8 into 100. Okay, we're going to do that, but I feel that it's going to take a lot of time. Okay? Um, so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to show you one way we're going to do this. Okay, let's do the long way first. So let's do the other way, the one we've been doing from the last example I gave. So let's say how many times can 8 go into 100? So if you think about it, 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2. So like up to 8 times 8 is 64, which is still very far away from 100. 8 times 9 is actually 72, which is also very far away from 100. 8 times 10 is 80, which is also very far away from 100. Now, what about 8 times 11, 88, 8 times 12, that is 96, right? Now, what about 8 times 13? 8 times 13 will give you 104, right? 104. So that is more than 100. So basically, 8 times 12, 96, is closer to 100. So we're going to say 8 can go into 100 12 times. So we'll put 12 here, and then we'll say 8 times 12 is 96, and we'll put 96 here, and then we'll say what our answer is 12, remainder 4. But instead of thinking so far, there is another way. So I'm going to put the other way here. This place is not really comfortable for me, but let's see. So if we put it here, let's say this is 100, this is 8. Now instead of thinking of the number of times 8 can go into 100, I want us to start with 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the number of times 8 can go into 10 first. Okay? So this only works at the point where you see that there's a similarity. There's a similarity between this and this here. So 8 can actually go into 10 easier than it can go into 100. So if you notice, when we do that, we'll get the same answer. So let's start with 10. If we start with 10, we're just going to say, how many times can we multiply 8 to go into 10? So if we say 8 times 1 is 8, okay, that's close to 10. 8 times 2 is 16. So that is more than 10. So we're going to start with 1 first. So we'll say 8 times 1, 8. So that's 8 times 1 is 8. So we'll put it down below the 10. So we're ignoring the 0 for now. So we'll say 10 minus 8, so we're going to get 2 here. Okay? But this time we're going to now bring down that 0. So we'll have the 0 here. So now that we have reduced it a little bit so that it's easier. Why we did this is because we want to make it easier for us to calculate. Instead of thinking of all the multiplication tables in the world, we just want to start with this small one, 10 here first. then we'll make it easier, and then we'll bring down the 0 so that we can continue. So now the 0 brought down makes it easier because 20 is smaller for us to be able to use 8 to divide into. Okay? So now that we know this, we can now say 8 into 20. So how many times can 8 go into 20? So you start with 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, so that's close to 20. But 8 times 3 is 24, which is more than 20. Okay, so now what do? We now say 8 times 2 because 2 times 8 is 16, which is very close to 20. So 8 can go into 20 just 2 times. Okay, and we'll have a remainder. So 8 times 2 here. So this time we'll say 8 times 2 here. 16, we'll put the 16 down here, and the remainder will be 4 because 20 minus 16 is 4. So we have our 12, okay, following the shortcut, and our answer is still 12 remainder 4, and this is the 4 here. This is the 4 here, this remainder here. So whichever way you want to try, but just remember that if you want this way, please follow this way to the end. If you want this way, please understand how to do it before you do it, okay? Okay, so this is how we normally do long division. If you have any questions to ask.